Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
And they get mad when you stop them, and they want to argue the fact that they're speeding, and it's, wow, come on.
Frustrated drivers are giving police a headache over a South Fargo road project.
Almost 80 tickets were handed out yesterday along 32nd Avenue South, where they're doing road work. But police say they didn't even make a dent in catching speeders.
They claim almost every driver rolling through that stretch is going over the limit. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson staked out the orange cone zone with a radar gun and shows us how bad the problem is.
Speeding, running stop signs and stuff.
If you frequent 32nd Avenue, this may look familiar to you. Stop and go traffic is irritating a lot of drivers.
They're moving, they're upset, they're on their way to work, they're behind from dropping the kids off, they're going to meetings, and the biggest excuse they had was I wasn't paying attention to my speed. Well, you're flying past other cars, you're flying past these cones.
To see how bad the speeding problem is, I geared up, 32, pulled out a radar gun. It's not slowing down. And stood near the end of the construction. 29. While some people did stay around the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. 26. We caught others going well above. 35. One going 36 miles per hour. But that's nothing compared to what Officer Matt Moon has seen. 48 miles per hour was the highest.
It was pretty crazy and insane. And then we were still letting cars go by as we had those pulled over because we just didn't have any bodies to deal with it.
From now on, he's going to spend an hour a day here watching.
Our next thing to really attack is people blocking the intersections. It's so tight and so confined and it's such a short stretch that everybody's trying to make that turn, everybody's doing it, but when their light turns red, all of a sudden, bang, they're all left in there blocking that intersection.
You're in that situation where you're trying to turn and it feels like it's taking forever and you're not sure if you're going to make it. What should you do?
If you don't think you can make it through that intersection, wait. You know, it's better to be safe than sorry.
And if you make it out of this construction onto the highway, be careful out there too. State troopers are watching. In Fargo, Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
Officer Moon says the average ticket given yesterday should have been around $100. Technically, in a construction zone, the minimum fine is $60.
We're sailing into the weekend on a pretty good note as far as the weather's concerned, and it sure would be nice to hold on to what we have. Hutch, how about tonight?
I think we're going to continue holding on to some pretty quiet and beautiful weather. Today's temperatures in the 70s in the Southern Valley, a little cooler up near Lake of the Woods, northwest Minnesota. In the 60s, but it's in the mid-80s in Aberdeen. A few clouds in the FM area here late this afternoon. The radar's even showing a few showers moving into eastern Otter Tail County now and heading toward the Wadena area. You might see a sprinkle, but don't bank on it. Our atmosphere pretty dry. Not all those raindrops making their way down to the ground. 60s this evening in Fargo. We'll be in the 50s for much of the late evening in Grand Forks. Weekend looking pretty good for Mother's Day. I'll have details on that. And if you're waiting for a chance of rain, I'll have details on our next chance coming up here in a few moments.
Could use a little of that too.
You bet.
Thanks. And if you want to keep up with the latest weather conditions where you live, download the Valley News Live Storm Team weather app. You'll get the latest forecasts, conditions, even follow the radar live. Just search VNL Weather in the App Store and download it for free.
A big weekend for anglers. It's the walleye opener in Minnesota. Many say it's more than just about the fishing.
Sure is. Valley News Team's Ashley Bishop traveled to Lakes Country, where she learned that many people consider this part of the start of the summer.
Many people are counting down until they can cast their lines. But many people say this tradition isn't about the boat, the beer, or the fishing. It's about who you're with.
Like an unofficial start to summer, you know. They've been coming out once in a while to get their campers or their cabins opened up a little bit, but this is the weekend where they go full time.
Askin owns the Lake Place, a bait shop off of Highway 10. His shop has been busy all day with families gearing up for the midnight kickoff, like this 86-year-old who will get to see his sons and grandchildren that are not from the area.
I just like to go and see the family. I'm sort of a family man.
Getting together with all your friends and just camaraderie of the whole thing is probably better than the fishing. Sometimes the fishing's not so good, but you always got your friends.
One by one, the bait is bought, which is just a small part of the tradition.
Enjoying the outdoors is, you know, if you don't love the outdoors in Minnesota, then I guess you're living in the wrong place.
The DNR will be out checking for fishing licenses and making sure boats are being drained properly so they're not spreading aquatic invasive species. Reporting from Big Cormorant Lake, Ashley Bishop, Valley News Live.
Another tip from the Minnesota DNR, if you are using a public access, be prepared. Have your items in the boat so you don't hold up the line.
And the Minnesota DNR is reminding people not to let safety get lost in the excitement of the fishing opener. That means to check a few things in your boat before you hit the water.
Make sure they have a working horn or whistle, a fire extinguisher that's charged and ready to go, a life jacket for everybody on board, and make sure they check their navigation lights before the sun sets so they know that they work before they need them.
You should also make sure your registration is current, and remember that any child under 10 must be in a life jacket at all times while in a boat.
And drivers are dealing with plenty of road construction in Lakes Country. Becker County Highway 5 is being repaved from Highway 10 to County Road 6. Crews are planning on working tomorrow, so if you're in that area, you're going to need to wait for the pilot car, and that wait is going to be about 10 minutes. The project is expected to be done by Memorial Day weekend.
Known white supremacist Craig Cobb says he no longer owns property in Nome, North Dakota. The church in the small Barnes County community burned to the ground in March. Investigators say the fire was intentionally set. Cobb says he has been reimbursed the $8,000 he paid for the building. As for whether or not he's planning on buying any other property in the area, he says he may if it becomes available, and that he is willing to buy property pretty much anywhere in the state. Meanwhile, the Barnes County Sheriff's Office has not yet caught up with the person who set the fire. They say their investigation is ongoing.
Xcel Energy customers in Minnesota should expect to pay more for the electric service company after it was hit with a major rate hike that'll spike more than $240 million over the next 4 years. Rates for residents will rise more than 10%, but customers will already have been exposed to part of that increase with an interim rate hike. Commercial and industrial customers will also be affected, with their rates going up about roughly 7%. The deal was a settlement between Xcel Energy and the state to avoid fighting over hikes.
The University of North Dakota is getting a boost in its fight against addiction. Federal health agencies are awarding UND with more than $775,000 in funding to be used for mental health and substance abuse services. Officials say the money is needed to prevent addiction before it starts.
Time to take a look at this week's Valley's Most Wanted. He's Robert Holcomb, and he's wanted for possession of controlled substance and paraphernalia. There he is on your screen. Call your local law enforcement if you have any information on Holcomb's whereabouts.
As of today, there will not be a recall petition filed against Fargo City Commissioner Dave Pepcorn. Petition organizer Andrew Lensmeyer says his group fell short of getting the 3,500 signatures needed to bring the recall to a vote. The recall effort surrounds what Lensmeyer calls the actions of a bully, specifically what he believes is Pepcorn's stand against immigrants in the community. Lensmeyer says although his group was not able to make the recall vote happen, he's proud they were able to get a conversation going about the value of refugees to our community.
After more than 40 years of service, the president of YMCA of Cass and Clay counties is announcing his retirement. Paul Finstead began at the YMCA in 1975 as a part-time employee while attending college. He eventually worked his way up to director 24 years ago. He's credited with launching the Partner of the Youth Annual Campaign, which provides scholarships for youth to learn life skills. With his leadership and countless volunteers, today, over $325,000 is given away in scholarships annually. Finstead's last day will be on May 31st. A retirement party will be held next week.
Congrats to him for all those years. If you're looking for a good leg stretch this weekend, how about a 5K run? We have details later on Valley News Live at 6.
Temperatures soared to near 80 degrees as we closed our work week off in style here in Fargo. A nice mild day, about seasonal in Grand Forks. Coming up, we'll take a swing at that weekend forecast. It's looking pretty delightful. Details are straight ahead.